Well, hey everybody, it's the 26th day of July 2026. I'm Jan Erickson, and this is As Above, So Below. You've had a good week. We're still inundated with all kinds of fires here. So I don't know how long that's going to take. We have a lot of wind, so it tends to push fires in directions nobody wants them to go. There's been a lot of people who've had to evacuate their homes. And I don't know what's happened with respect to that, but this is a difficult time on the high desert, always is. It's just anymore, there seems to be just more extreme weather now than there ever used to be. Anyway, let's go ahead and begin with Dagaz. Dagaz is the 23rd rune of the Elder Futhark. Looks like a little bow tie. It means a new day, or the end of one phase and the beginning of another. You can kind of see it right here. Here's endings and beginnings. Right there, it can be all doors open, all options are on the table. It could be about awakening. You can do a lot of rituals with the rune Dagaz. You can physically, like on the equinoxes, you can draw it on the ground either mentally or with a stick or something, and stand right in the center and experience that end of one 12-hour point in the day and the beginning of the other. Daylight is basically balanced at that time, and with night, and roughly speaking. And so there's lots of different ways you can use Dagaz, not just in a reading, but in experiencing something where you've got the end of one phase and the beginning of another. Let's see what the Geomancy rune has to say here today. Let's see, there's fire, there's water, which is this. This is air, and this is earth. So we have Pur. Did we have Pur last time? No. Pur and Puella or Poya, they're the child-like, youthful energies of the Geomancy set. Little Pur would be little boy energies, scattered. They're both scattered, impulsive, things like that. But the little boy might have a little bit of Mars energy versus the Venus energy of the little girl. So you might look at it that way. That would be Puella or Poya. But again, you're talking about energy that's not as, if you were to look at the adult version of Pur, it might be Rubius. And there you're really having a misuse of force. With little boy energy, though, it's more, they're curious, whether it's the Puella or Pur. They're both curious energies, just little kids that run around and are so interested in everything. And they get in trouble because they don't realize something's dangerous, maybe, or they're wanting to do something or see something up close. It supersedes any kind of care or caution they might take. So it's energy that's like that. But with the Pur energy, you're looking at a boy or energy that's maybe risk oriented and accident prone, little hard to control, unstable. I mean, if you just have I had two boys and they weren't really like that, but I've known little boys that were, and it's just, they're hard for mom and dad, or mom and mom, or dad and dad to keep them under control, basically, for their own good. And so that's the kind of energy you're looking at looking at Pur with. But combining it with Dagaz, though, it could be the end of that and the beginning of something new. We could look at it that way. Or vice versa, where you're having to deal with stuff that, seems to be a little bit unstable and hard to get a handle on. And so it could go either way. Maybe the cards will tell us here which way that's going to go. At first blush, I would say it's sort of moving from that type of energy into something that's a little more stable. But again, it could be the other way around. Stable energy going into something that's unstable. So however that resonates for you, we'll look at the cards and see what they have to say. I try to keep these readings as general as possible so that it applies to more than one person. So anyway, I've cut the deck and I've taken the lower half and I'm going to draw 3 cards. Now, we have one from the suit of swords, one from the suit of cups, and one from the major arcana. Let's see, where is my calculator? There it is. So I said that Degas was 23. We're going to do the numerology here for the reading. So 23 plus the 2 of swords. So there's a decision that needs to be made dispassionately. We have the devil card, which is card 15. Let's see, plus we have the 6 of cups. That comes to 46. Let's do it one more time. 23 plus 2 plus 15 plus 6. 46. Did I say that? Yeah. 23, 2, 15, 6. So 6 and 4 is 10. 1 and 0 is 1. So you're looking at new beginnings. And that resonates well with Degas in that it's the beginning of one, or end of one period and the beginning of a new one. So you've got a new beginning happening with this reading, something new. And I think how I'm going to start this reading out this particular way. I'm going to look at the 2 first and sort of label that a choice that has to get made. And you're going to choose between being a slave to desire or a slave to ego, or being able to give to other people and have a generosity of spirit, shared abundance, that kind of thing. One's very selfish. One is has learned that it's really better to not be that way, right? And so if we're looking at poor, then we would look at poor along with the devil card. Excuse me. Excuse me. There's a lot of smoke in the air today again. Anyway, let's look at the 2. Here we have a woman sitting on a stone bench. You can see the dual line here, which separates her out from the water and from the sand. She's getting away from her emotions, which are still a little choppy right there. You can see the water is not quite smooth. You see something new here. This would be the maiden moon. If you looked at maiden, mother, and crone, that would be the maiden moon. She's blindfolded. Her arms are crossed. She's holding a sword in each hand. Now, swords is the air element, so it's about communication. It can be about risk. It can be about truth versus deception. Again, decisions are also the air element. And but it's about the intellect and again, integration and communication and all of that. So anyhow, she's got her back to the water, which again is still choppy, and you can see that as emotions. So she wants to make this decision without the influence of her emotions. She's blindfolded. She doesn't want any external stuff, external noise coming in to make the decision she needs to make. And it's also about balance, love, healing, reciprocity. But in this case, with this particular suit, you see the reciprocity and healing with the 2 of Cups, for example. But with the 2 of Swords, she's really got to make a decision that's dispassionate and not influenced by the noise around her, particularly her own emotions. So something about this Degas information then has to do with maybe moving from one phase to another where you're learning to not allow emotion and ego draw you into something that is unrealistic or you shouldn't be involved in. And your response should be a little more measured and a little more analytical and reason-based. That's also part of the air element in Swords. And so you want to do that. You want to make that decision that way. You do not want to be drawn by poor and impulsiveness and risk. But here you have the devil. You see the 2 figures below, the man and the woman. And it's kind of funny, you've got the magician card where it's the same as above, so below stance in the card, only the magician is holding, it's either a scroll or it's a wand up toward heaven or spirit, whereas the devil here perched on this post, he's got his torch instead of up here where you're bringing the light from spirit into your awareness. Here it's lighting the darkness of the ego. And you can see the tail here catching fire a little bit from the torch there. But again, the devil within, you see the star up here is pointed downward to the tip of the sword. Normally it would be pointed towards spirit, and you'd have air, fire, water, and earth as the elements on each point there. But here you have it pointed toward earth and physical reality. And so you've got the devil figure that represents the ego and the ego's hold on our physicalness, on our mind, and it again, if you allow the influence when you need to make a decision here, whatever it's about, if you allow the ego to influence, then you may not come out in a place where you're really beginning anew, which the one of the whole reading here is suggesting you have a new beginning of some kind, maybe where you're leaving behind the ego and then moving into something that's more balanced. Here you have, and I doubt very seriously that when Pamela Coleman Smith drew these cards, that she meant this to be Gebo from the Elder Futhark, but who knows? Maybe she did. Heindel puts runes in his deck that he has, that he did. Also Hebrew glyphs and also guas from or hexagrams from the I Ching. And so who knows what influences that all of these people who draw cards basically for the decks, who knows what they've done here. But to me, when you're looking there at Gebo, you're looking at reciprocity and the gift of reciprocity, really, and balanced energy exchange. And here, as with all sixes, you see a difference in height, the difference in stature. And so one has is basically the one here, the person here is offering, probably a girl, is offering what she has, her abundance of the flowers in the cups, in the chalices, this loving gesture to this woman walking by. Or, I mean, it could be vice versa. But I've always read it where this is the one who has all the stuff and this is their home. And so giving this offering of love and neighborliness or whatever it is to this woman walking by, and you see the lilies in each one, all the greenery here in each chalice, and you're looking at some kind of a shared experience where you're not all by yourself in your ego. You're actually creating some kind of integration with somebody else, and generosity of spirit with somebody else with the six. And so, because six is about empathy, it's about shared direction or shared path, harmony. And so giving this offering of love to, as represented by the chalices with the flowers and the lily in each one, there you have, if you put these two together, with this being the past and what you want to let go, or the decision you need to make. Where am I going? Where's my new beginning going to be? Is it going to be wrapped up in my ego, or is it going to be wrapped up in generosity of spirit and harmony and love and sharing? And so I think what we can say then safely about the runes here is that there's in fact, Pur may actually even have some relationship to the two and the decision you need to make dispassionately and not impulsively. And so Pur could probably relate to both of them, both the Two of Swords and the Devil. But there just could be something, that you maybe you've been thinking about this, for a while, and you're ready to make some kind of decision about where am I going? Have I been involving myself in stuff that really isn't going to advance my spiritual awakening or my relationships with others in a positive way, which would then be represented by possibly both poor and the devil card. Although poor is not as nasty as the ego can be. Really, it's maybe you've just been careless in your thinking, or you've been a little impulsive about things and you didn't really think things through. And maybe some things have happened that have led you to the point in your life where, I need to be thinking about this kind of stuff. And where am I going from here? And that would be Degas, ending one phase that's not as productive and not as positive as maybe the new phase could be. There's new beginnings with the overall numerology of one and with the right-hand side of Degas. And so again, making that decision has to be done without the ego's involvement, without the emotional involvement. Because with the emotional stuff, the guilting comes in and all the excuses and things like that. And you can't make that decision that way. You have to see it very clearly. Is it, ego versus unity and connection to others that's in a spiritual way, in a loving way, versus, it all being about you. And so think about that next week and see if that resonates for you. If you have been already kind of looking at your life and thinking, something about this just isn't really working and I'm not really happy with how things are, check in and see if it's your ego that's driving that experience, that's leaving you uncomfortable, and see if maybe the next phase of your life has to do with, again, harmony and sharing and empathy and generosity of spirit toward others. So I don't think we need any more cards. So anyway, something to think about this next week. And I hope you have a good one. I hope there's no fires near you, because I can tell you it's not fun, and it's certainly, I don't think we're in any danger personally, but there are people around us in neighboring communities, one in particular that definitely is, and that fire's not out. It's just getting bigger, and it's just scary. So, if that's what you're going through, then you have all the compassion in the world for me on that. We go through this every year, every summer. And it's kind of getting old anyway. People in Colorado are having a difficult time. France, Italy, and Spain, all three. Scotland, I saw one in Scotland that flared up. So it's not just here in the States, it's everywhere that this is happening. And, climate change is real. This is the effect of it. So stay safe, and come back again next Sunday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.